Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast, it's the football podcast. The guys are here, they're talking football, games gone, games to come, football news, and everything else football related. Before we get started, please do consider like, share, subscribe, and comment. Leave a review where you can leave a review. Obviously, the one that we like the most in the podcasting world is to share that podcast around. If you enjoy the football, maybe you know somebody else who enjoys football. And maybe they'd enjoy this podcast. Find out by sending it to them. Right, let's get started. Here we go. It's CookieCast, the football podcast.
Welcome on in, ladies and gentlemen. It's another weekly football update from your friendly faces here at the CookieCast podcast network. That's correct, ladies and gentlemen. Don't adjust your sets. It's for those of you joining us on YouTube, you will only see two happy smiling faces staring back at you this week. Unfortunately, Mr. Moore unable to join us this week, but I'm sure he'll be back with a vengeance next week. Potentially when Forest have scored a goal. Who knows? But I am joined by Hull's finest, Mr. Stuart Woodmansey. How are we this week, sir?
All good. Certainly in a footballing stance. As always, we will come to that. But considering we're in the midst of a 3-game week, it's all looking pretty good so far.
Isn't it just? So, we will start with the first game of the week, which took place on the Friday evening, and it was the Williams household derby, as it saw West Bromwich Albion taking on Middlesbrough. Borough went into this knowing that if they won, it would put the pressure on Coventry. So it would. I lost the word there. Close was the word I was looking for. Close the gap from 6 to 3 points ahead of Coventry's game on Saturday lunchtime. But it was actually West Brom who started the better of the two sides in this one. They went into this with a new manager. His name escapes me. Ramsey. Eric Ramsey, I want to say. That sounds about right. We'll go with that. Sorry, Eric, if that's not your first name, then I've just made up some geezer from the Manchester United academy who's taken the job, or something like that. I don't know. Yes, he set his team out a certain particular way, and West Brom were certainly the better of the two sides for the opening 10 minutes for certain. Probably should have actually taken the lead within 3 minutes. Hegaboo was on to Luke Ayling quite quickly and picked his pocket just outside the box, and then sort of carried the ball into the one of those ones that sort of breaks free, and he tried to sort of get onto it, but Solbrand managed to come out, close the angle down, and smothered the ball to keep it at 0-0, and it's sort of the game sort of grew. Borough grew into the game more from there. But 25 minutes in, Aidan Morris got the ball out on the left-hand side of the box and had an effort that was probably looked. Do you know those ones where they sort of flash them towards goal and it looks really close, but then you see the reverse angle and it's like about 18 yards wide. This was the reverse of that. Looked like it was nowhere near, and then when they showed the reverse angle, it's really, really close. So it proper sort of flashed just over the bar. One of those ones that sort of like starts low but gets a bit of like height quite quickly. So if it had just kept it a little bit more down, it might have had a chance of like hitting the bar and coming down. But that was a sign of things to come as Borough, like I said, growing into the game, and they took the lead just before half time on the 42nd minute. And I'd love to say it was a fabulous strike, but that will be a lie, as it was a Charlie Taylor own goal. It was a great driving run from Hayden Hackney, one of his trademark sort of parts of his game that sort of like come in the last sort of year or so. He played the ball into Alex Gilbert on the edge of the box, who was unmarked. His effort struck the foot of the post, and almost the game almost seemed to go into sort of slow motion at that point because the ball rebounded off the foot of the post, straight into Taylor, who couldn't really sort his feet out and just bundled the ball home from about 6 yards out. Yeah, not great. Probably one of those ones where if he had his time over, he'd go with his right foot, but he's tried to control it with his left. It's not worked out for him. So 1-0 Borough going into half time. Into the second half, again, it was West Brom that were trying to sort of dictate the pace, dictate the play. Hegebo again had a quite a nice turn and shot from just outside the box. Looked innocuous at times, but he certainly had Solomon scrambling. He had to dive to his left to make a save to keep it at 1-0. And it was good that he did because Borough made it 2-0 in the 58th minute. And it was 2 in 2 games for Sammy Silvera. And again, it came from another run through the middle of the park from Hayden Hackney. A couple of interchange passes between himself, Tommy Conway, and Morgan Whitaker eventually released Silvera down the right-hand channel. He carried the ball to the edge of the box, and the West Brom players kept standing off him, so he just smashed it into the bottom left-hand corner past the keeper. Borough should have made it 3-0 on the 70th minute from a corner. Adelson Melander, wouldn't say free header, but he was certainly not as marked as he probably should have been. Gets too much on it and heads it too much into the ground. Bounces up over the bar. Goal kick. And they were made to pay as on the 75th minute, Isaac Price scored a free kick from literally on the edge of the box. Carlin Grant, a little bit of pass and move football, was brought down, incorrectly judged on the edge of the box. The replay showed that he was very much inside the box when Silvera brought him down, so it should have been a penalty to West Brom. So Borough got away with it from that regard. They didn't, however, get away with it in as much as Isaac Price just smashed the ball straight into the back of the net from the edge of the box to make it 1-2. They should have made it 2-2 3 minutes later when Price again had the ball on the outside of the box and just curled it just the wrong side of the post. On 80 minutes, they were level, and it was Jed Wallace in his usual I will score against the Borough, but no other teams. Madja on as a second half sub, had a driving run, played the ball out to ex-Borough loanee Sam Illing Jr. on the left-hand side. I've lost my notes. His cut, that was it. He tried to cut the ball back to sort of the edge of the box. Hayden Hackney was making a sliding challenge. Unfortunately, only had the misfortune of guiding the ball directly into the path of the oncoming Jed Wallace, who just had to side foot the ball into the back of the net to make it 2-2. So Borough were in absolutely no danger whatsoever, yet found themselves drawing the game. Borough did, however, keep going and got a deserved winner in the 90th minute. And you'd be surprised to know that it was Hayden Hackney who was involved in the build-up. Morris played the ball into his feet just around the sort of the D of the penalty area. A lovely little first-time flick around the corner from Hackney. Played the ball into the path of Sammy Silvera. He just played a lovely little slip roll ball into Bergzog just inside the box. Took a touch and finished low across the keeper into the far corner net, just right in front of the Borough fans, who went wild to say it was a last-minute winner and made their trip back to Teesside much, much more enjoyable. So yes, a 3-2 win for the Borough. Not the best start for the new West Brom manager, but a delightful result for all Borough fans alike. So 3-2 Borough. Podcast predictions-wise, let's have a look. What did we have? Stu and Matt had both gone for a 1-1 draw, so we're very disappointed to see Bergzog slotting that winner on the 90th minute. Sadly, neither of them had Price, Wallace, Taylor, OG, Silvera or Bergzog as goal scorers. Stu had Malumbi and Whittaker. Matt had Madger and Whittaker. I went for a 2-1 Borough win. I also did not pick any of the goal scorers, so I just get the bonus point for the results. So 5 goal scorers, not one of them picked by us, so we're obviously really good. I was about to say at our jobs there, but as far as I'm aware, we're not taking a salary for this particular podcast. So
yeah, Andy, if you're listening.
So, point for me, Stu and Matt yet to get off the mark. And we moved to Saturday's games, the first of which was a 3 p.m. kickoff and saw Southampton taking on Hull City. And a bit of a bonus result, dare I suggest?
Well, I mean, full spoiler alert. Not really. We've beaten them twice this season now, so... yeah, former Premier League side, getting a double in nice and early as well in the season. So the first chance of this game fell to Liam Miller with a header in the 6th minute. He drew a pretty decent save from Southampton keeper Peretz, but after that, Southampton sort of woke up a bit. Armstrong, Championship top scorer Armstrong as well, I believe. At point of writing. Missed a good chance from a through ball, and then a cross seemingly perfectly into the 6-yard box. Saw Pandor do absolutely nothing. 3 Southampton players decided that they would also not do anything. The ball pinged around a bit. All 3 of them had a stab at poking it home from less than 6 yards, and all 3 of them missed. So, not... After aside from Liam Miller's header, not the best start from Hull. However, on 20 minutes, Ryan Manning misplaced a 5-yard pass to Quashie, and it basically just handed possession straight to Wally McBurney. He beat the onrushing goalkeeper to the ball, managed to play in Kyle Joseph, who curled the ball past 2 defenders who were trying to fill the space in behind. So yeah, 20 minutes, 1-0 to Hull. Saints then had a shot over the bar, then they hit the post, and then Hull went 2-0 up. Charlie Hughes at the back stick from Hadziamatovic's corner, and from that point on, the atmosphere was pretty toxic. The crowd massively turned on the home team. Such chants as not fit to wear the shirt, things like that. And then into the second half, when the manager Eckert replaced Fellows with Ross Stewart in the 67th minute, the crowd regaled their manager with, "You don't know what you're doing." 4 minutes later, the substitute scored. So have that, Southampton fans.
I'd love to think that there's like footage of somewhere him just giving it one of these to the crowd.
But
obviously he's not that stupid. One of the best things that I did see on the socials was a clip from the crowd of all the Southampton supporters just chanting sideways and backwards everywhere we go. Sideways and that. I thought that was quite good.
I also saw that video. And much to that tune as well, not really much happened after they scored. Managed to finish the game with a 2-1 away win, even though Hull had registered 11 first-team players injured going into this game. It was the Southampton bosses' first loss at home, and it now means that Hull, at this point, had won 6 of their last 9 away games. That is some form. So yeah, 2-1 away win for Hull.
Tasty. I was the most positive on the podcast for this particular one. I went for a 1-1 draw with Azaz and Miller to score. No points for me. Stu and Matt both predicted 2-1 wins. But for the home side, Stu went for Armstrong, Cienza, and McBurney to score. Matt went for Azaz, Armstrong, and Miller to score. So all that means there's no points for anybody. Oh dear.
Apart from Hull. Yeah.
Well, yeah, apart from Hull, yeah, exactly. Our third game of the week took us to Saturday evening. And I was about to say BT Sport, but it's not BT Sport anymore, is it? It's TNT. TNT Sports for Nottingham Forest versus the Arsenal. He's not here, so he can't really break the game down. But we don't really need him to be here because the game finished 0-0 with very, very few incidents to speak of. I think the biggest one that was apparently, an absolute outrage was a questionable handball decision that wasn't given against Ola Aina. The ball was in the box to be cleared, and Aina and Elliot Anderson found themselves basically in the same space. Aina goes to control the ball, and Anderson jumps into it, sort of, I guess. And in doing so, kind of pushed Aina's arm into the ball. I don't think it was a penalty. I think he was clearly trying to he was trying to chest the ball down, and it's the fact that his player has bumped into him that's pushed his arm closer to his chest, and it's brushed the ball towards his arm. I think I'd be very, very annoyed if I was given a penalty against me for that. So yeah, did you see any of the game?
I actually saw that incident, and I would agree. It's one of them ones though that you don't want any sort of subsequent shithousing to come, in the sense of if somebody sees that that's been let fly, and then all of a sudden you get a spate of people pushing their teammates in the back. I don't know.
I'd like to think that people are actually be running in from 10 yards away, just going wash straight through the back of people.
I mean, realistically, they probably, if it had been given, it would have been more not on the lines of, oh yeah, it was a definite handball. It would have been, why the fuck were both of you in exactly the same space at that point anyway? Sort your shit out.
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely wasn't a penalty. If it had been given, I think you could have chalked that one down in the Premier League want Arsenal to win it for once this year sort of box.
Exactly.
But
yes,
thankfully for Forest, the referee didn't fold, which was nice.
Yes. So it's not great reading from a podcast perspective. Everyone had an Arsenal win, so no points for the result, and obviously there were no goal scorers, so there's no goal score. There's no goal scoring bonus points either. So Matt had a 3-0 own for Arsenal, 2 for Gabriel, 1 for Gyökeres. Myself and Stu both had 2-1 Arsenal wins. I had Gibbs White, Jesus, and Martinelli. Stu had Hudson-Odoi, Gyökeres, and Martinelli. So that's a third game on the spin where no points are scored by some of the people on the podcast. And by some people, I mean everybody. So we're 3 games in, and it's still only that 1 point from the first game for me that we've got.
It's going well this week, boys. It's going well.
It's not a stellar scoring week, shall we say? Our fourth of 5 games takes us to Deepdale, where Preston North End were taking on Hull City. I think going into this one had been described as potential game of the week. I'd heard on certain elements of people that like to discuss the championship, because it was 2 pretty form sides going into this. I think Preston had done well in their previous games, and obviously Hull. What was it? 5 wins in 6? Did you say?
6 out of 9 7. Away games.
6 of 9.
Well, they flashed up some statistics on the game before the game. yesterday that I think Preston had lost only one of their last 30 midweek home games.
That sounds awfully like we're getting into NFL/WWE stats.
Well, obviously that one was the first time ever in 30, so then it would have been a WWE one. But you know how they like a statistic. Yeah. Anyway, it was disappointing, shall we say, to tune into the game to find referee Stephen Martin taking charge of his second Hull game since Christmas. Last time out was the 2-2 draw at Sheffield Wednesday, when 6 yellow cards were issued, as clearly Roid Rage took over from the permatanned little gym bunny, whilst he was in the midst of his one-man power trip. So apologies, Andy, if you need to edit all that out, but he's a prick. Would it happen again? Well, there was a lot of cards, but we'll get to that. First things first, possibly the worst pitch I think I've seen all season.
Oh my God, it was horrendous. I even put it in the group, didn't I, at one point?
Yeah.
I mean, just on the sort of the wide shot camera, it looked appallingly bad. And then it always like the ones where it zoomed in and you saw certain patches of the pitch. Oh my God, it looked worse than a rugby pitch.
Yeah. There was during the game I was messaging my friend Rich, who is a groundskeeper by trade. And I'd messaged him saying, is that not just a big pile of mud that they've possibly sprayed green? And he messaged me back saying, shh, trade secrets. Which I thought was really good. But yeah, the pitch was horrendous. But I'm pleased to say that Hull actually pretty much dominated the game. The only thing that didn't really go their way statistically, weirdly, was the possession. It was ever so slightly more in Preston's favour, but Hull definitely did more damage every time that they had the ball. Hull had 9 shots on target overall, and the first goal came from a Preston corner, however. But it wasn't for Preston. So the ball was swung in. Hull broke at lightning pace with Akintola racing down the right-hand side, pretty much sprinting the full length of the pitch. Thankfully for him, Liam Miller had done the same on the left-hand side, and it just meant that Miller held his run well enough so that Akintola's ball basically took the keeper out of the equation, and Liam Miller had a tap-in from about 8 or 9 yards out against his former club. He did the very sportsmanlike manoeuvre of holding his Keith Lemon bandaged hands to the sky and not celebrating so much. But yeah, 1-0 Liam Miller after 33 minutes. The second goal came from a Hull corner. And it was for Hull. Preston did not return the favour. The ball ended up pinging around in the penalty area. It dropped to Ollie McBurney, who, rather than being a greedy, poaching you-know-what, actually had the sense to realise that he was surrounded by 4 defenders, whilst our left-back was stood in space. So he laid the ball off to Akinfamuwa, who finished very nicely, I have to say, into the top left-hand corner of the net. So 2-0 on the stroke of half-time. Preston made 3 changes at half-time. A bit of recognition for the fact that they'd made 4 changes going into the game, and manager Paul Heckingbottom reversed 3 of those changes at half-time. So realised he'd probably made a bit of a mistake in his team selection. So yeah, from those 3 changes, Preston did absolutely nothing. None of the changes were effective in the slightest. Hull were forced into an early change in the second half. Akintola looked like he pulled up possibly with a hamstring, but nothing's really been said about it since, so we'll see where that one goes. But he was replaced by new signing Yu Hirakawa. So Yu Hirakawa signed 24 hours before, or 48 hours before. Japanese international winger. He's on loan until the end of the season from Bristol City. Generally plays on the right, and before coming to us, had two goals and 2 assists for Bristol in the current campaign. It took him 3 touches of the ball to get his first assist for Hull. So McBurney, big diagonal ball out to the right-hand side. First touch by Yu was to control it. Second touch got it out from under his feet. Third touch crossed it into the box where Ollie McBurney was waiting with a bicycle kick to make it 3-0 to Hull with 49 minutes gone. From this point, Preston just pretty much gave up, if they hadn't already. So chance after chance after chance. Miller had another chance that was well saved by the keeper. McBurney at the near post. This time, because we were already 3-0 up, he was the greedy, you-know-what, and went for a cheeky near post shot, which was covered by the keeper. He could have laid it back, but he didn't. He just got a bicycle kick, so he probably wasn't that bothered, really, was he? But then also as well, one of the subs that was made in the second half was a returning Joe Gelhardt. Had a pop pretty early doors. Well saved by the keeper again. And even though the keeper had got a palm to it, it was like centimetres when it crept around the post in the end. It could have been one of them ones where he palmed it and it still trickled in, but wasn't quite to be. Coming towards the end of the game, 6 minutes of injury time became a lot more than 6 minutes of injury time when a bit of a coming together between John Lundstrom and Osmajic for Preston. Osmajic took a little bit of umbrage to Lundstrom's arm and decided to just go at him. Lundstrom being not a man to back down from such a challenge, but sensible enough to work his way through it in the sense of he didn't want to get himself sent off, was definitely mouthing off at Osmajic, and Osmajic just basically tried to headbutt him. And then carnage ensued. So the referee, Mr. Card Happy Stephen Martin himself, got a red card out for Osmajic, got a yellow card out for John Lundstrom, and then 2 further red cards for one member of I think it was the assistant coach for Preston and the Hull goalkeeping coach, after there was a bit of a fracas on the technical area bit.
With that, so obviously we'll come back to sort of discuss the ridiculousness of this whole thing. I don't know if it was just me, but on the coverage, did it look like the Preston sort of like coach was saying to the Hull guy, well, come on then, we'll sort it out ourselves, like...
He absolutely was.
Down here.
He absolutely was. And the reason why our goalkeeping coach got so het up in amongst it all was because if you manage to ever see it back, watch the top right-hand corner of the screen as the camera is sort of aimed down the touchline, because one member of the security staff for Preston basically, from behind with no warning, puts him in a headlock and drags him backwards by his neck. So no wonder he reacted like that. But yeah, speaking of fantastic reactions, Osmajic is becoming a bit of a problem and a liability for Preston. In the last 2 seasons, so bearing in mind we're not even anywhere near the end of this one yet, through his disciplinary record, has now missed 20 games, or will miss 20 games by the time the suspension rolls around. One of them was for biting, which was a 3-game ban. Probably definitely the lengthiest ban is he's only just come back this season from a 9-game suspension after racially abusing a Burnley player. So, I think we can all agree, subhuman scum, as Matt was putting in our text group. But yeah, not a good look. So yeah, a side that had been in form, definitely had that stamped out last night, and Hull go on to extend that remarkable away record that they seem to be continuing at present. And it was
Yes, indeed.
up to fourth by the time that play finished last night.
Very much so. So, podcast prediction wise, it doesn't get any better. Doesn't get much better, ladies and gentlemen. Matt had gone for a 1-1 draw. Devine and Joseph to score. No points there. Stuart had gone for a 1-0 Preston win with Lewis to score. No points there. I went for a 1-1 draw. Dobbin and McBurney to score. So I did bag myself a bonus point for the McBurney goal, which does mean that after after 2 long games with no points, still no points, but I did get 1 bonus point. So I had 2 for the week. Stuart and Matt still left to score, and we only have 1 game left to go through, which was not to date the podcast in any way, shape, or form, but may have literally just finished within the last 2 minutes. Stoke City versus Middlesbrough. Yes, I think what we'll do is we'll take a short break. We'll sort of gather our thoughts after that insaneness of the Osmajic headbutt and the ensuing carnage. And we'll come back with the details of Stoke versus Middlesbrough that may or may not have just finished this second. And the break is over, and we are back, and there's been absolutely no shenanigans with filters on Zoom or anything in the break. None whatsoever. Have there, Stuart?
I don't know what you're talking about.
So, our final game of the week saw Stoke City taking on Middlesbrough, and the question was, can they do it on a wet Wednesday night in Stoke with a fantastic goatee beard? And the answer in the first half was unequivocally, no, they could not, as Middlesbrough found themselves 1-0 down going into half-time. But how did we get there? I hear you asking. Well, it was Stoke that took the lead on the 15th minute, and not for the first time, unfortunately, this season, it was a goalkeeping mistake by Sol Bryn. I like Sol Bryn. I think he's a solid goalkeeper, but unfortunately, this is the 3rd or possibly even the 4th time this season where a speculative shot from distance has managed to squirm its way underneath him and end up in the net. So the goal was scored by Rigo. Yep. Never heard that name before, so can only presume he's a recent signing for Stoke. But Matt Targett had the ball in the left back spot, was caught on the ball. A little bit of play, a little bit of sort of pass and move from Stoke. Ended up with the ball at Rigo's feet, about 25 yards out. He took a couple of touches. Slightly wet surface. Probably thinking, might see what's going on here, test the goalkeeper. He did, and unfortunately for Bryn, he wasn't equal to it. The ball, like I say, squirmed underneath him and found its way in the back of the net. So unfortunately, Borough found themselves 1-0 down. He did make up for it somewhat in the 30th minute when Manhoof had an effort from the edge of the box that was definitely going in until Sol Bryn just managed to get a little fingertip save to it and tip it onto the bar. So he definitely kept Borough in the game with that save. So he sort of made up for the error with that big save there on half an hour. Borough were trying to push for the equaliser, and much in the spirit of the opening goal, and due to the conditions, they were actually starting to take a few pot shots themselves just from like anywhere on the edge of the box, in and around. 1 or 2 managed to find their way through, but the Stoke keeper was equal to them couple of spills here and there, but nothing that was able to be capitalised. Yeah, capitalised on by the Borough players. So 1-0 at half time to Stoke. Borough made 2 changes at half time, took off Silvera and Alex Gilbert. Both had been rather ineffectual. Brought on the new signing Castledine and Bergzog, and it reaped rewards almost instantaneously as they found themselves level on the 48th minute. Once again, was an attack through the middle of the park. Hackney carrying the ball into the box, had a effort on goal which the keeper saved. The ball rebounded to Aidan Morris, who again had another shot on target. The keeper was able to save that one as well, but he was only able to push it out into the path of 3 Borough players that were on rushing, and it was actually Alan Brown who was the first to get to it and rifled his shot high to the roof of the net from about 2 yards out to make it 1 apiece. And the comeback was complete on the 59th minute. Tommy Conway, of all people, managed to find the back of the net. Granted, not at the first time of asking. It was a delightful whipped ball from the goal scorer of the first, Alan Brown. One of those ones where puts it right in that corridor where the keeper doesn't know whether he can come and get it or whether he should just stay back and try and defend it on the line. Conway peeled off to the back stick. I don't know if he's tried to sort of flick it and turn in one sort of solid motion, but he ballsed it up, whatever it was that he did, and found himself with his back to goal. But did have a swivel and shot and finished again from about 3-4 yards out to make it 2-1 to the Borough. He actually could have had a second a few minutes later. He was released on the edge of the box and drew a save with a low shot down to the keeper's right to push it away. Stoke made their task even more difficult on the 77th minute when Lawal received a second yellow for a challenge on Aidan Morris. Sorba Thomas had a couple of chances to see if he could test Bryn once again, just whipping some balls in from the left-hand side. And right at the death, the guy who's playing makeshift striker for Stoke, Cisse, had a chance from a long ball into the box where his header drew a save from Bryn, and the rebound looked like it was somewhat deflected over by a diving Dale Fry to make the block, but the referee gave it as a goal kick. And that's kind of where the game ended. So Borough held on to get the 3 points and return them back to second in the table, albeit Ipswich with a game in hand to play. And if they do win it, they will go back into second place. But as it stands, Borough remain firmly in the automatic promotion race, second place. So, final predictions of the week. Matt had gone for a 2-2 draw. So once again, was really hoping that last minute chance had gone in. But he's not here. So, no points for you, sir. His goal scorers of Manhoof, Gallagher, Hackney and Bergzog were sadly incorrect, so no points for him, which means he does finish the week on 0 points from 5 games, which is mightily impressive. Stuart gone for a 1-0 Borough win with Hackney to score, so just gets the bonus point for the result. I went for a 2-2 draw as well, so I was also gutted that Stoke equaliser didn't come in the final minutes. Or am I? Let's think about that. I also had Manhoof and Cisse to score, so I probably would have been quite happy with the certain elements of it because I would have got some points. I had Hackney and Conway to score for the Borough, so I'd obviously seen something in the previous games to indicate that Conway was due a goal. So I got a bonus point for the Conway goal, which means that after 5 games, as we said, no points for Matt, sadly. Just the 1 point for Mr. Woodmansey, but I win the week with 3 points from the 5 games.
Well done.
Lovely stuff.
Can you imagine if you'd have absolutely nailed the prediction and said that Conway's going to score, but he's going to slice it off his thigh first before swiveling to put it. That'd have been like all the bonus points.
I mean, yes.
We've said it before though, and like I said that I wouldn't predict him until after he scored again. But he's just been very much in that vein of form that he just needed that goal to go in off, whatever. So hopefully he'll kick on a bit now.
Yeah, it's just one of those weird ones, wasn't it? Like, I think he just needed the ball to sort of fall to him in a place where he couldn't miss. And it did today. And he almost missed. So, but luckily for him, he was able to stick the second chance away. And Borough got the 3 points, which is all that matters. So, we move into transfer news, as Borough have made another signing to go along with Leo Castledine from last week. Their second new player of the transfer window is left back. I've lost his name. Finn Monroe. He's a 20-year-old who's joined on a permanent deal from Aston Villa. Spent the first half of the season on loan at Swindon Town. Was recalled from his loan and snapped up by the Borough on a permanent basis. Because he's under 21 or under 23 even, doesn't have to be registered as part of the first team squad in the same way that Castledine also doesn't need to be registered as a member of the first team squad, but obviously is eligible to play in all the games because he's under 23. It's another one that sounds like this seems to be Borough's transfer approach now. They seem to have switched to a more of a, we'll improve the first team squad where we're able to, but we'll also look to make smart signings from the youth perspective with the idea that they'll sort of grow with the team and eventually be sold on for profit. Castledine, probably the biggest example of that, was highly regarded at Chelsea. They've only paid £1 million for him, but Chelsea have, I believe, a hefty sell-on clause if he was to leave, a la Morgan Rogers within the last couple of years. Obviously, he was signed for £1 million, later sold on to Aston Villa for 10 times that. So big profit from Borough, and a little bit of a sell-on from Man City came from that one. So that's an incoming. There's also been a couple of outgoings. Youth team striker Sonny Finch has gone to South Shields on loan for the rest of the season. So hopefully he'll get some minutes there, get some goals, get himself ready for first team football. Left back Lucas Engel, who'd only just rejoined the club recently after a loan at FC Cincinnati, has gone back to the MLS and joined Real Salt Lake on a permanent transfer. Never really happened for Engel in a Borough shirt. He had 51 appearances since his arrival in the summer of 2023. Was brought in as kind of a direct replacement for Ryan Giles, whose loan wasn't turned into a permanent deal as he signed for Luton instead. He just never really seemed to happen for him, to be honest with you. So probably makes the most sense that he's been allowed to leave on a permanent deal back to a country where he's been playing his football for the past year. So it makes sense for the player, makes sense for the team as well. And another youth player has left the club, Charlie Lennon, not the son of Aaron Lennon.
John.
Yeah, always. Yeah. Any of them, any of the above. He's joined Barnsley on a permanent deal. Never made a first team appearance. No, he did. I tell a lie. Charlie made his first team debut under the stewardship of Mike Carrick in the 4-1 win at Cardiff City in April 2024 after featuring on the bench on multiple occasions. So he only played that one time for the first team, but he's left to go join Barnsley on a permanent deal. Just double checking. Don't think there's anything else. No other news from a Borough perspective. We'll leave Forest until Matt's back, which just takes us to Hull. I believe you already covered it briefly in the game wrap up. What's his name? You? Is it you?
Yeah. So they had a little bit of fun with the announcement. They used the take that video. Oh, what's this? Oh, let it shine or something like that. And it's the one where it starts with the build up, and the first word of the song is "you." So they let that play, let Mark Owen say the word, and then showed the guy on the pitch at the stadium. But yeah, I'm in the fortunate position that when we're talking about it now, I've already seen him play, and he probably didn't expect to get as many minutes as he got in the game at Preston, but he absolutely made a difference when he came on. Like he didn't look out of place. He kind of knew what was going on. Officially, like I said, I think officially he'd only signed is either 24 or 48 hours before the game, but he looked like he may have been in training for a tad longer than that because he just was getting on with it. Japanese international, first ever Japanese player to play for Hull. And yeah, it's a season-long loan from Bristol is the upshot. So we'll see where that goes, because if it works out, and I read online a few of the different Bristol like bits on him afterwards that quite a large contingent of their fans were surprised that he went, but he also hasn't been really getting that much game time, or certainly in the starting 11. So he obviously is just looking for a bit more regular football.
Yes, like you say, it looked handy in his little cameo. And like you say, he got an assist to his name. So hopefully, like you say, can help him kick on and cement that playoff space, or even potentially challenge for the automatics, because they're not far off the automatic places. So
Well, I
another
think it's
couple
just
like of
it's a funny one, isn't it? Because like you guys are still sort of 2 games in front, if you like, and
mm,
Ipswich are only a game in front on points, but then their goal difference is ridiculous. It's like something like plus 23.
mm,
But with the signing, Yu Hirakawa, I think it's more of it works out for us as well, because we don't still quite know what's happening with Balumi. So
yeah.
it's another winger in the building for the time being. So we'll see how it goes.
Mm. So transfer news done and dusted, which means we'll move on to week 22, and that brings with it 4 games. The first of which sees Sporting Club de Braga taking on Nottingham Forest in the Europa League. Would be the part of the podcast where I'd say it's Mr. Moore's team, so he will give his prediction last. But sadly, I have no Mr. Moore predictions. So those are I will leave a blank space in the book, and if he's able to get his predictions before the games kick off, I will, of course, add them in and score him accordingly. So at this point, I will just give my prediction. I've gone for a 1-1 draw here. I've gone for Horta, which I'm almost certain I've pronounced incorrectly, for Braga, and Igor Jesus for Nottingham Forest. What have you gone for, kind sir?
I have gone for a 0-1 Forest win
Mm,
with Hudson-Odoi to score the goal.
lovely stuff. Nice and simple. We move to the weekend slate of games, and the first of which sees my lot Middlesbrough taking on Preston at North End. Very much Hull's sloppy seconds. It's live on the Sky Telebox under the Sky Sports Plus channel, as it's a 12:30 kickoff on Saturday afternoon. I'll go to Stu for his prediction for Middlesbrough versus PNE.
I have got unsurprisingly, a Middlesbrough 3-1 win.
Oh, big boys. Lovely. No
I
scores?
have gone for Whiteman for Preston,
Yes.
and I have gone for Hackney, Whittaker, and Bergsorg for the Borough.
Mm. Hackney, Whittaker, Berg, Zorg. Lovely stuff. I don't think it'll be quite that comprehensive, but I have gone for a 2-0 Borough win. Gone for a goal each for Conway and Whittaker after his goal scoring exploits this evening. Third game of the week takes us to 3 p.m. on Saturday, and it's Hull City versus Swansea City. And as per usual, I presume you will be in attendance.
Indeed, yeah. Back to the
Very,
first trip
very
back to the
nice.
MKM since Frozen Pitchgate.
Oh, God. What is the forecast for this weekend?
Or goals is the forecast.
You're absolutely correct, because I've got a 2-1 Hull City win. I've gone for a returning goal for Gelhardt, and obviously the old boy rule is fully in effect. So I've gone for McBurney to get what, of course, will be the winner. And I've gone for Vipotnik to score for Swansea.
I have got the exact same, except for you can chalk off the Vipotnik goal.
2-0,
Yep.
Gelhardt and the old boy.
Yep.
Now, I am intrigued to see if Mr. Moore will break his own rule and back him, because he is an old boy.
That might be the reason why you don't get any predictions off Matt then this week.
Quite possibly, yes. And our final game of the week takes us to Sunday, as obviously Forest had a midweek European game to get through, and sees Brentford versus Nottingham Forest. This is, of course, the Premier League's reversal of the opening fixtures of the season. I've gone for a simple 1-1 draw here. I've gone for Igor Thiago for Brentford and Igor Jesus for Forest.
If this had been played around like Halloween time, then maybe.
Lovely. Lovely.
Unfortunately, and I'm really sorry to then give this as the last prediction, but unfortunately, I've gone for a Brentford 1-0 win.
Oh, no. Done by Keat and his set pieces.
Well, I've got Damsgaard for the goal. I just feel like that they'll probably put quite a lot into the Europa League game, and it might just then to back that up with an away trip is not fun. So I just feel like might be a bit sleepy.
It's a weird one, isn't it? Because let's have a look. So Europa League. So currently, as it stands, Forest find themselves in 11th place. 6 games played, 3 wins, 2 draws, and a defeat. 11 points. So they're currently in the playoff zone. They are 2 points off being in the automatic zone. So 2 games left. You'd like to think that if they can win 1 of the last 2, it might be enough to push them into that top 8, and they wouldn't have to play. They'd get not a bye as such, but they'd get I suppose it is a bye technically, but they'd get the playoff round of games off, and then they go straight into the knockouts. So yeah, you can kind of understand if they took their eye off the Premier League for a couple of weeks whilst they get through these games. But yes, I wouldn't be too surprised if that is the case. Actually,
the way that the league, the Premier League, is going for them as well, if they can put a bit extra in to get a couple of games off, that's only gonna aid them sort of then down the line in it as well. But I'd seen that because of the time of year, they've been allowed to tinker with the submitted squads for the Europa League as well, and they've added Ola Aina and who was the other one?
Taiwo?
No, it was
Hutchinson?
It was a name that I wasn't as familiar with, but they've added 2 more players basically to the European squad, so they've got a bit more options again.
Was one of them coming out? Was it Zinchenko? Because I know they were looking to terminate Zinchenko's loan deal and get him sent back to Arsenal, as far as I can tell. Don't know if that's gone through yet. Actually, that's something we'll have to cover with Matt next week.
It only confirmed that there was 2 players added. It didn't specify about who it was that was removed, but that seems like a likely option. I'm sure Matt will sum it up for us next week.
Yes, indeed. Hopefully we get him back next week and he can go through the ins, outs, ups and downs of what's gone on with relating to changes to the European squad. So yes, that brings us to the end of this week's podcast, ladies and gentlemen. So as always, a big thank you to Mr. Woodmansey for joining me to go through the details of his team. We'll be back in a week's time to go through those games we've just predicted and look ahead to more games to predict, and of course the final weeks and final days and final few hours of the transfer window. You have something to bring up.
Yes. So we talked last week about how Hull were the only team that managed to get through, much to my disappointment, the third round of the FA Cup, to be rewarded with a plum tie at home against Chelsea. So Liam Rossini will be returning back to East Yorkshire. Well, they've confirmed that the game is going to take place at the traditional time of 7:45 on a Friday night. So it can be live on the telly. But they've also released ticketing information. Now, I can understand it being the TV game. I can understand a lot of people wanting to be there. I feel like they're sort of building this up to be slightly more than it's going to. Basically, people buy tickets and go to football like they always do. It is what it is. It's just going to be busy. However, members can buy tickets from the 26th of January at 9:30. However, owing to the FA Cup regulations, and I'm taking this directly from what they've put out, the visiting club is entitled to claim up to 15% of all available seats for which tickets are issued. As a result, and owing to stadium layout and infrastructure, it's been determined that our visitors will occupy the entire North Stand. Currently, Hull City season ticket holders / members occupy those seats. And those are the noisy ones. Those are the ones that like a good old sing-song at the football. Those are the ones that bring some atmosphere to the game. So they've decided that moving them is the best option. Now, they are reverting to type in the sense of traditionally, historically, when the stadium was first opened, the North Stand was the away stand. So you can understand why they've done it, because it's already set up in that regard. However, I can say as a South Stand member, I can buy my tickets from the 26th. All is fine. The people that they are moving can't buy their tickets until the 2nd of February. Yeah. So they're selling.
Have they explained why?
They're selling the tickets in phases. So East, South, and West Stand members are going to have the option to buy their own seat, basically. And then the North Stand members will basically then, if they'll be able to buy whatever seat they like in the stadium, just not their own. Just not in the North Stand. So I assume that they've done it this way so that the North Stand members don't nip in and buy somebody else's season ticket. So yeah, it seems a bit of a strange one. And then if there's any tickets, which there will be a few left after that point, because obviously it's not full of season ticket holders every week. Anybody who has been to a game and is registered on the ticketing system will then have the next level of priority. So anybody who's been to a game this season will have that ticket in priority. And I don't suppose it'll go past that, but if it does, those are available from Tuesday the 10th of February, just 3 days before the actual game kicks off.
Interesting. So leaving it right up until the last minute.
And they aren't charging a premium. They're keeping the match day tickets the regular price for match day tickets. So an adult generally will set you back, depending which stand you sit in, about 24 quid. And the kids' tickets for up to 10 years old to go and watch us get smashed by a Premier League side are just £4. So
that's good.
Can't complain really at the pricing.
Decent. Oh, something I did see that had popped up on the whole socials the other day was 4 years of Mr. Ila Chali
yes
being in charge of the club.
That is true, and he celebrated by posting a video from a random bench at the side of a road in Turkey somewhere, which was bizarre. He's on that note, actually, for the to celebrate the 4 years in charge, he's given away an extra 400 tickets for this weekend's game against Swansea that have been divided up into emergency services and the university from the local area. So doing a bit to get a few more in at the sort of in honour of his stewardship, as it were.
Very nice. Good man. Good man. So yes, that brings us to the end of this week's podcast. A big thank you, as always, to Mr. Woodmansey for going through the details of his club. Hopefully, fingers crossed, Mr. Moat will be back next week to do the same with Nottingham Forest. If you've got a hankering for American football, wrestling, Formula One, men chatting bullshit, anything like that, we've got plenty of those in the back catalogue on the Cookie Cast Podcast Network. So treat yourselves, dive in. Just go for maybe BS Cast like 6 or something like that, where we probably end up chatting about nuts or what ice cream is the best or what chocolate coating is ideal for pretzels. I don't know. It could literally be anything, but they're all worth a listen. It's all just men rambling inanely, which is always fun to listen to. Speaking of rambling inanely, we'll do it all again next week. So join us then. And until then, it's tatty bye from us. See you later on.
So there you go. What do you think to that? Another one done. Another one gone. Thanks to the guys for doing the football podcast week in, week out. Thanks to you for listening or watching. Before you go, if you want to do a bit of extra, want to get a little bit of extra legwork in there, maybe consider like, share, subscribe, and comment. Maybe leave a review. Plenty of places you can leave reviews all over the shop. If you can find one, or when you find one, leave a review. And check out the website, thecookiecast.com. There we have social media links and an email button. Follow us on social media. Drop us a message on social media. There's loads of them now. Pick one, send us a message. Email us. Tell us who your favourite team is. Tell us what you're looking forward to in the football season. That's it for this one. Until next time, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then.
Thank you for listening to these grumpy old men talk about football. If you've enjoyed this episode, please like, share and subscribe.